on price and volume. If you understand what is market spread, that will prevent you from losing money during the Bitcoin move. And I'm going to talk about that because this was a news that came out just 2 or 3 days ago about a researcher, an academic researcher who came back and said that, look, 2017 when the market went up just after Christmas, 2017 to nearly $23,000 was actually due to one player in the market. Well, we all know that, right? That's why I want to ask that first question. Those of you who is listening here, how many of you have invested in Bitcoin? All right, if you invest in Bitcoin, then you would know whether this market is manipulative or not. Do let me know. All right, tell me if the market is has been manipulative for you. And I generally have said it before. The Bitcoin, it's something beyond me. As I said before, always been is the market run by honest people, right? Bitcoin has the technology, the blockchain technology. I think it is well said. I think it is really profound. But the Bitcoin, where the cryptocurrency, and it's up to now, there's almost 81 cryptocurrency exchange, and more are coming up day by day. So where do you go on? So there's a lot of people even coming up with the ICO, initial coin offering, which you can actually trade in Bitcoin for that matter. So there's many of this scheme that coming in here. But for much of today, let's talk about the Bitcoin that we all know. Now let's talk about the Bitcoin, okay? Now this was only about 2 days ago, okay? And there was one single anonymous market manipulator caused the Bitcoin to top 20,000 2 years ago, right? And this study, so that also really confirmed what we've been saying about Bitcoin, why it is always been subjected to market manipulation. The people, the player, we really don't know who they are, and also it's unregulated. So, but if by the time you come in to by the time you come in to really invest in Bitcoin, there is no middleman. So who do you turn to? Unlike normal stock, we have the regulator, we have the Securities Commission, we also have the BSA, Malaysia, the stocks exchange. So they are there to regulate. Of course, when they are there to regulate, there's some cost involved in there. And again, generally are run by very regulated people, and they follow certain laws. So there are many cases that you heard. The most recent one was a very famous stock manipulator from Malaysia. I think you heard of him, So Chin Wang. Now he's been prosecuted in Singapore for the 2012 and 13 flash crash. And some of these three prominent stocks, I think you heard of it before. Lion Gold, there's another two more very small cap that actually made from almost 20 cents the penny shares up to almost 2 ringgit in that very short time frame. And right now, after 2012, which is almost 6 or 7 years later, this case currently is been trial in Singapore court. And if you've been following that, the market manipulator, Mr. So Chin Wang, a fellow Malaysian in here, had his passport confiscated, and he can't come back to Malaysia. But that case, you can still read it all in our blog, and many magazines know how it is. But this market manipulation, like it or not, will continue to exist on and on again. So if you look back, and this, the key point always been, there's always some manipulator in there, and there's a pattern. Okay, and that's why it's important to really study this pattern, the price and volume, if you really understand in here. And the entire price impact actually contribute to one large player, and this large player can also disguise in there. So this finance professor wrote about it, and one of the SEC top worries crypto is subject of manipulation. Then again, cryptocurrency are not regulated. They would time that they wanted to make the cryptocurrency as part of the ETF, exchange traded fund, that sometime during 2017. So that's why that Bitcoin really continued more. I'm going to show you the chart after this. All right. Now, if you look at the chart, this is what actually happened. You have the market stages here. Let me just bring out the pen here and continue to draw here. So that will somehow sums up where we are. So you can see here the market actually continue to rise. They have many series of strength, SOS. This is what we call SOW. Okay, let me just, sign of weakness. Okay, typically we'll see a lot in the market, and then as the market continue to go up, this is sign of strength. I'm not saying you can't make money, but if you are trading Bitcoin, yes, you have a chance to escape this major fall, way up to about 20,000, okay, Bitcoin. That's in US dollar, okay, and then all the way down. I'm not sure today is how much. You can check it. It's maybe around 13,000 or 5,000. You know, who cares? I'm not even keeping track of it. But having said that, this meteoric run, you can see the number of coin that was traded during the day, some of them reaching almost 100,000 volume in here. But then there was also another report. Some of these volume are fake, right? And they discover them now too. So how do you trade this when the whole exchange is not honest people? The best way is to escape. Don't even trade it. But if you were to trade, at least use some of these sign of strength and sign of weakness, okay? All right, that will keep you on the right track, on the right of the market if you need to trade this. But many of you, I do know, are not Bitcoin, from what I've gathered, you guys are not a Bitcoin investor, because there's so many other products, especially those of you who've been following me, you know that I trade the Malaysian shares, the US market, and also the futures, which is actually much more profitable and easier market, where at least you make the money, right? The people who hold the account are genuine. I think that's most important too. I mean, just imagine if you put your money in a bank and the people watching your bank account, they are not honest people. What happens? Can you sleep overnight? Definitely cannot, isn't it? Because overnight, the money that you have in the bank would probably be disappeared. And that's pretty much the same thing in Bitcoin too. You put it in there, and there are many cases of Bitcoin being sort of hijacked or stolen. So how is that going to happen? Who can you report to? Then even today there was a very good case, I think came out on Malaysia Kini today. I just read about it. There were 3 mainland China who came in and to a house, and there were a lot of these money game founder. There was a money game founder. So what they did was they put a knife on front of at the neck of the money game founder's son. They couldn't go after a money founder, okay, because they lost money. The money founder, again, many of these like very similar. I think 2 years ago, the infamous JJPTR, and there's still some running around the money founder game. So they got hold of the son, and what they did was they actually asked the son to transfer the money that they lost in the money game to a Bitcoin, right? To apps in the Bitcoin. They managed to only to transfer 10,000 ringgit. All right, so you can see a lot of these are very shady kind of thing. If you want to hide your money, you got to hide it in Bitcoin, and that's always been this case here, where the regulator, you know, the AMLA law, the Anti-Money Laundering Act. So all those are really forcing this Bitcoin, so-called the cryptocurrency, to really face a lot of pressure. If you do trade in, please use price and volume like what we've seen in here. Okay, let's move on. Now, learn volume spread analysis. Now, many of you who are listening in here are volume spread analysis fan in here. If you're not, there are many literature around. Go to our YouTube channel in there, and also follow us at our Telegram trading VSA idea. We always talk about sign on strength, sign videos, and here are some examples of those line change where you can see on the chart, which denote the continuation of uptrend market going higher. So you have to understand why the market go up higher is because of strength. And also at the top that you see in here, we'll see sign of weakness, and usually we'll see bars like uptrust, and weakness generally occurred after UT, and there's a confirmation, right? We recommend to many of our members to short after the UT, just like what we talk about in a master class. By the way, we're still having our 4th day of our master class, more like, you know, we're doing the US market tonight. Those of you who are listening in here tonight, I'll see you guys at 9 p.m. Malaysian time, but the market for the US market will open at 10:30 tonight, because they are like 1 hour a bit late because of the time difference. Okay, so just take note in there. So when I see you guys on 9 o'clock tonight on our evening live trading, I will talk about it. So and also some scary statistic that we found out that Bitcoin are run by a lot of is Bitcoin run by honest people or dishonest people? And that's always been this question here. So the report says that from Bitwise as of September, says that 95% of the Bitcoin trading volume is fake, because all these exchanges are unregulated. If they are, probably they should have some sort of self-regulation where they do this kind of reporting to ensure investors to invest are quite good. So this industrial website called coinmarketcap.com analyzes 81 crypto exchange in the world that, in daily, almost 6 billion daily Bitcoin volume, but only 273 million eligible. That's almost less than 5%. Can you imagine? And a lot of time, if you do happen to invest in Bitcoin, many of these things will probably be coming from your friends or from some runner or from promoter, right? So when people look at this cryptocurrency, and if you look at those data there is manipulated, how can you invest truly, all right? Because many of these people are so-called investors. If they are trader, no problem. You just can use in price and volume, learn about uptrust, learn about line chain, that should get you started back. So one thing we really recommend our members and some educational value that you have is understanding market structure. Now, if you look at this chart that we have, let me just show you here, right? Let's get me my laser pointer, right? You can see, understand the market will assess you whether the market's going to go higher. This is where usually we get a lot of this, the market going. You can see where just like what we saw in Bitcoin, around 20,000, you bought it, and they say, no, this time it's going to be different. Bitcoin is going to go up to what, 60,000, I still remember. And remember back in 2007, about all prices going to 147. We hit 147, the height, and it's going to go down to 220. Right now it's around $55. You can see again this kind of emotion, the investor emotion as the prices go up is here. I'm a genius, and then finally, when you break below the 20,000, going down to 17,000, this thing will come back, and fear until everything. They're going to go through this, sell everything now, right back at 10,000. They could have bought it at 20,000, right, in the December 2017 when they sell it off, and that's where they lost a lot of money in there. And yet there are still people going in there. So this background, this background of excitement, human emotion, definitely can be categorized by the 4 stages of the market, which we touch a lot on our master class. Remember that. And the term market stages originated from Charles Dow and also Steve Jones. That's famous for this Dow Jones in here, and also who really educational person was Richard Wyckoff back in the 1900s, and that's what it's all about. Volume spread analysis, Richard Wyckoff. It's all about price and volume and really understanding where the market is. So you can see in here the market will continue to move sideways, and the market breaks up, and then the new hope will start again. So you can see this is like a stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and then a reaccumulation of stage 1. And remember what we talked about, the double bottom, right? And we see this double bottom here, and then the market just made up. So take note of it, market structure. And here is another scheme very popular in Malaysia, and sometimes we hope this on the right hand side, you see this whistleblower. We want to see this whistleblower coming in and more people blowing that whistle. I think this is also important too, right? The pump and dump scheme is very popular in Malaysia, and also in the stock forum and also Facebook. Facebook is not so, we don't normally see names people in there. I think many of the stock forum and Facebook are actually run by dealers or remisers. Can they just open up and then continue, right? So they usually selected on target stock, like hot sector. Now, what is a hot sector? Is it oil and gas? Is it technology? And this kind of scheme can run for weeks to months. And normally it's before some major announcement, where is the pump action, because there's 2 actions here. Pump, push the stock price up, and then dump the stock price up. So the assigned stock promoter or the blogger can go in, and you get this a lot in stock forum. They will try to convince this crowd or the fans that have been following why you must own these shares, and don't blame me if this share fails. So they always have this kind of caveat, and they attract a lot of people. They say that, look, I'm one of the biggest inside in here, and I made a lot of money for you, so why should you not so? So they target a lot of retail investors in an attempt to drive up the price of the stock and the volume to higher prices, and once they dump it, the operator will simply just sell the shares, dump it down, and a lot of beginners money goes down with it. So they also say, look, you got to have a trading plan in here. And one of the ways they also do it is that they say, look, if you're going to make money, why don't you take up margin financing? And they actually get members to do margin financing, and where they can push up the share prices now. This is more prevalent when the stock market is very hot. Very hot the time. You can see a lot of people does this kind of thing. But do remember, the pump and dump scheme are very dangerous, and especially if you are beginner and you know who you are, right? You're coming in the first time and you have this feeling of a bit of greedy and a bit of fear. That's generally, you're in the state of the beginner, and that's what we talk a lot. Some of our lessons that we talk about in our community is actually addressing the trading psychology that all and every one of us had, the feelings we had. Now, yesterday I posted one very good conversation that I have with one of our member. Do read that Facebook talk about many attempts that she or he started as a beginner and then failed. So I gave him some advice, and read those advice, and if you are in the beginner, definitely will really help you. And whole point about what I'm trying to say, if you look at it, if we do have a whistleblower act that goes out and tell that this blogger or that promoter, then maybe the market will be much better. But as the stock market goes on and on for the last 10, 20 years in here, pump and dump scheme is not going to go away. Just like stock market manipulation is not going to go away. So it's better that you learn and how to benefit from it. Okay? All right. Now let's look at the next thing. Now, some uninformed news. I think this is even happened to one of the case that we talk about, the very infamous case that the little known Malaysian stock has surged 400%. Now, this is a small cap stock, four gain in Malaysian stocks price, and this was in 2017, almost the same time, just like when the BitCoin hit 20,000 US. Now, TradeVSA was the name of the company in here. A lot of people got caught into it. I was talking to one investor, he got caught into it, especially when Bloomberg started reporting that this stock has surged by 400%. Now, when you hear a news like this, what would you do? Wow, 400%, right? And 2017 is where the market euphoria is. And you thought you were the genius. Now, going back to the slide that I show about the investor emotion cycle, that's the one. So that's why we always emphasize trading psychology is important. Now, if you look at this stock, this is TradeVSA, listed in KLSC, when it holds almost a new high in 27 October after Bloomberg news. Right? Immediately after Bloomberg news, the stock price go down and down and down. This is when the news broke out, 27 October 2017, where the stock has made a meteoric rise way back at 12.5 cents, almost to 81 cents. And if you were to follow our premium, our Pentagon guided, you could see that you could possibly make a 300% run over a period of let's say this maybe 6 months, okay, and during this red Pentagon, to have no trades, okay, to have no trades, and then avoided this big sell-off that you had. That's why sometimes I tell people who are especially the new beginners and new investors, if you are the first timer, use some sort of a system. Okay, use some sort of a system like the Pentagon. It will help you to avoid the major catastrophe if you have bought it somewhere around 75 cents and the market way all the way. You will lose 50-60% of it, right? So this is how you want to avoid this kind of major catastrophe. You have some sort of system, because like it or not, day to day you'll be exposed to news and you do not know how to differentiate good news and bad news. So for some of our members who finally found out there are good news and bad news, they continue to read them in the chart and able to help them in their investment.